health field. And so they're going to talk a little bit about Rocky Vista Osteopathic School. And if you could just maybe introduce yourselves, a little bit about what you were involved in, and words of advice for some of our students. And we're going to record you if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We didn't sign for this. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go first. So I'm Phil Kong. I graduated back in 2019 with a double major in bio and psychology. I actually wanted to do, I wanted to do a PhD, but I didn't really like research. I did some research back in here at CU Denver. I didn't really like it, so I was like, okay, I'll just do pre-med instead. But yeah, so I took a couple-year gap, and then I matriculated into Rocky Vista, and I'm the second year now at Rocky Vista.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Kong. I'm sister of Philip. I graduated in 2018 with triple major. I did psychology, biology, and philosophy. They were just like one of those things that I had interest in and picked up because you can just like double dip. I'm also second year at Rocky Vista, looking into doing an oncology or path. So if you have any questions about like, you know, what it felt like just to go through all those majors and like going through, like I also did gap year and I worked at an ophthalmology clinic. So what the gap year looks like in transitioning from schooling to gap and then to med school. I have questions, like, you know, I'm here for you.
Hi everyone, my name is Andy Fung, and so I graduated from CU Denver back in 2017 fall, I believe. I know. So I took lots of gaps years. Sorry. But then back in CU Denver, I was part of ASA. So glad to hear that it's still going strong.
Stay around for the Lunar New Year.
Yeah, and then I was leading the Dragon Boat team here. Hopefully they'll come back. So that'll be great.
We're trying to recruit.
Yeah, cool. So then, yeah, I took like about 3 or 4 gap years, and during my time I was a youth advocate, I decided to do something that's off medicine related, just kind of learn more about myself, and I got matriculated this academic year, so I'm a first year at Rocky Vista.
That's great. So what, can you talk a little bit about how Rocky Vista program is different from Anschutz and other traditional med school?
Definitely. So Rocky Vista is a DO school, which is osteopathic. So the way I like to put it when I'm telling students or like anyone what it means to be a DO is, imagine you have a patient coming in and they're having a runny nose, and like an MD, which is the regular, like the allopathic, they will look at the patient and say like, okay, you have this diagnosis, I'm just gonna give you a medication, and come back, tell me if it worked. A DO, if it's a DO coming in, and they will look at the patient and it's like, okay, maybe there's something not draining correctly in your skull, and so they're gonna go in there and actually do something like it's called manipulation. So they go in there and actually touch. The key thing is touch. We use our hands to treat people, and then if that doesn't and the medication will come in like as a supplement, if it as like a tool to further heal. But the touch, we do that so that we can break down whatever barrier there is, because we look at the system holistically. So maybe it's not in the face, maybe there's some congestion down your chest. We'll go down there and like release the blockage. We believe in the fact that the body can heal itself. So if we can do it naturally by using our hands to break up those blockage, we can provide patients with more better outcomes than it is to just giving them medicine. So that's just like the DO in a nutshell.
In terms of curriculum, though, that's just like the very
Principle.
Yeah, that's a principle. In terms of curriculum, I'd say that as DOs, we have the same curriculum as MDs, but we actually do more because we have to do the osteopathic manipulation stuff, right? So it's pretty rigorous, but yeah, we do more than MDs. because we have that extra aspect, and I think it's a very powerful tool to have in your pocket whenever you see a patient.
Mhm. Not only patients, but you can also do it to your families or your friends.
Yeah.
How many of you have heard of osteopathic as an option aside from pre-med?
Can I give a quick testimonial? Years and years ago, I had really, really bad sciatica. I was in Michigan, and I went looking for a doctor, and I only looked for DOs. I said, MDs are just gonna shoot me up with drugs. I want to actually cure the problem, and they did. So they're not at all out there. They're doing what they're doing.
Yes, thank you.
Have others of you heard about this career path, osteopathic? No. So it's, I think one of the goals is to just sort of introduce you to the variety of different ways that you can get to your goal, especially if you are interested in the pre-health. But even if it's not pre-health, or if it's business or the arts, I really recommend you do as many things as possible while you're in college. Internships, research, leadership opportunities. Because that's when you're gonna find out, I don't like research, I'm not gonna go to the PhD route. It's better to do it while you're in undergrad than, decide to apply to grad school, because that's pretty hard, and then find out, oh my God, I hate this. So that is my message to you all. That is the purpose of this, to see if we can try to get you internships, research opportunities, study abroad, some of these they call them high impact practices, because students who participate statistically, these scientists here, statistically retain better, they succeed better, and you come away with a lot of great life skills with leadership, self-advocacy, independence, responsibility. So I can't emphasize that enough. Do those. And go with Dr. Lee to Belize. And we have another Asian American professor who's going to Nepal. And they're doing a whole tour of Nepal. So this, and Donna, and I think Grace, she's talking around here. She did a study abroad. So if you're interested, you could talk to her about how she was able to finance it, what she thought about her experience. So definitely, the more you talk to, the more insights you can get.
Just the fact that you guys are here right now, like on your, I guess Friday is technically a day off, technically.
I know.
On your schedule. But just the fact that you guys are here, I really commend that, because it shows that you have initiative, and it doesn't matter what you end up doing, like if you end up going to the medical school route like we did, I think it's just great that you guys show that initiative.
And the other part of it is just by attending these sessions, like you never know who you're gonna run into that's gonna be the person that's really gonna help you, no matter what path you're gonna want to pursue, and that person can help you, so.
Yeah, I honestly feel like one key advice I can give you guys is try to connect to as many people as you can with different fields, and get to know what they do. Probably even take the initiative to shadow them, because passion is one thing, but bring practical of how you can implement your passion into that field is another, and how is that daily used is a very key thing to make note of, because I mean, luckily for me, like, it was easy. Like, I just wanted to do medicine, and when I took the gap year and I worked in ophthalmology, and it was it was so difficult for me, because I saw the daily life of what it was like to be in that field, to work that amount of patients, and I told to myself, I do not want to be like that. Like, I just don't want that. So even if I still go to the medical field route, which is, I'm still a med student, I still have in my mind, this is how I can make use of my skills, my personality in another field, if that makes sense. So just be very active through your engagement with other people, and be very reflective.
Do you have questions? Mentors? Any advice mentors can offer for people who may not be on the pre-med track in other areas? Ryan?
I think no matter what you want to do, shadow someone from your field. Shadow the position you want, because that's, like you guys said, there's one thing on being interested in the subject and having a passion for it, but there's another practical side saying, can I actually live like this every single day? And
And even if you don't have work study, we can help you advocate for work study. So come to us, and the work study is a great way to work on campus and maybe work with a professor, work in any of these student services. And even if it's not directly related to your field, the fact that you're gonna be making connections with other faculty and staff here, that's gonna expand your network, because they know people, or they have connections. So I would highly recommend get some kind of relevant experience. And I think work study is wonderful, because you get paid, and the campus staff and faculty, wherever you work, there's so much more understanding than working off campus. You know, they understand if you have to take a day off. So come to us, and we could try to advocate for work study and find you some work study jobs, because a lot of these departments are hiring work study students only, because that's aid from the federal government. And especially if you are doing like a field you're interested in, like computer science. Can I use you? Okay, Jenny, you tell them. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just work there at a student position, but you learn a lot every day, different things.
So she works in the IT department, and so it's giving her an introduction to the IT field, because this might be something she wants to pursue as a minor, maybe even a major. So these work study positions could be really beneficial. I've had students work in the financial aid office, and then they realize, hey, I might want to do accounting. And so when we do our one-on-one with Yumi, any of the mentors, come and see us, and we could try to see if we could advocate for work study for you. And you could get it at any period, you know, as long as, you know, you fill out your FAFSA.
Yeah, also if you like kind of have an idea what fields you're interested in, like say you are passionate about the healthcare world, right? I mean, I could say just from like my friends and family around me that there's many ways to get involved in healthcare world. One of my friends I went to school up here at CU, she's an accountant at Handshakes actually. And it's actually pretty hard to get that position there. So she's doing accounting for the cancer research department. So she just like helps those grants happen. So yeah, like healthcare has like a business side to it. I mean, I'm a little like leaning towards business since that's my undergraduate background. But yeah, there's many ways to like serve your interests. Like, let's say I'm interested in serving like college students. I could do it through nonprofit. I could do it through official higher education. And that's actually the question like I'm asking myself, like, how do I like do this best? So yeah. I'll just say, you know, try a lot of things and learn about yourself. Because you don't know what you need to find it a lot of times.
And I think as someone who kind of was so confused for the longest time, I think like if there's a major or minor or something that you're interested in exploring, like don't let the idea of like, oh, I wanted this for so long, so I'm not gonna explore anything else. Like don't let that kind of get in the way, because sometimes if you explore, maybe you will come back to what you originally wanted, or maybe you will end up going into a different field. So giving yourself the opportunity to explore, you never know what you could discover. So I think like whether it's a minor, whether it's a major, whether it's just a certificate, whatever that might be, like give yourself that opportunity to explore and discover new things or whatever that might be for you. So.
And I just want to piggyback on that too. Is like oftentimes, like I think it's never too late, you know, to really learn more about yourself. And it's okay to find alternative routes too. So I know myself, like, you know, non-traditional students, like whatever it is, always put yourself through something that's like, oh, I may be a little bit scared doing that, but that's what's gonna challenge you, and who knows, that's gonna, you know, you might find passion in it, and that's something I tell myself every day, almost.
Did you feel like you had a lot of family pressure to pursue this route, or was this something that you just came to on your own?
My mom was she supported me, but like because of my personality in some way, she was like, you shouldn't go to medicine. But that was just a joke. But I personally just love, I mean, when we're being asked why medicine, and to me, like serving people is one thing, but like to go very deep, I wanted to gain give people the right to autonomy, like to regain back their autonomy. And medicine for me was like the best path, like that I can implement what I can do, like with my hands and with my, my skills and my compassion. Like I can use that to advantage and give people the right to, regain their life that they lost post, whatever injuries they have. And so I wasn't really pressured to it. Like it's honestly like, raise a hand, who's a pre-med? I just want to give
Or bio major.
Or bio
Public
major.
health, any in that realm.
Okay.
Mhm.
I just need to let you guys know, this field is a very difficult field. And I cannot really pinpoint where the difficulty is, but there's a lot of, like this field, there's beauty in it because it really forces you to know who you are as a person. I broke down a lot through med school because I just never thought that I could do it. It was just med school is a very difficult path, and I can really, like, the way it's set up, people say that med school is difficult, but I can tell you what it looks like. It's literally, you have, they use this analogy where a hose is like, put into your ear and you're like, or to your mouth, and you're like forced to like suck that up and take a test within the next week. And you have back-to-back exams like every once a week. And so that is very stressful because it really tests your stamina, like how can you, sustain that amount of knowledge. But at the same time, like, you kind of like, at the end of the day, a pass, like, we're now in the pass system, so most schools are gonna be, you either fail or you pass. And if you can pass, that's a good effort to yourself, saying that you can, do good. But I think that the other thing too that I just need to emphasize is that no matter how hard the path is, just don't give up. If this is your passion, you do what you have to do. And like it's also important to like make sure you connect to other people and don't be alone through the session. Like even in your schooling now, don't lose your connection to your friends. They are your connections to the real life once you leave and graduate from undergrad. Because they're like, I lost a lot of friends, but I kept a lot of good ones, and they were in different fields. But it's also like, I still enjoyed being in their company because they share a different aspect of life that I don't know as a med student. So that's just something that I want to pass down to you guys. I feel like I'm rambling, but.
Yeah, no, that's so true though, because literally, I don't know if you guys may or may not saw like this very tall guy that's kind of walked down talking to me or not, but anyways, like we basically like, we knew each other since high school, and then we went to the same college, and now we're in the same med school. So it's just kind of like those things you will never know, and it's that support system that's really going to drive you forward, and nothing else.
I know Andy for a long time. I'm just surprised that you went to Rocky Vista.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
It was connected. But yeah, so whoever's interested in bio and pre-med, please come to me like after the session, because I do have an event that I want to give you guys an opportunity to come to Rocky Vista and actually be exposed what's like to, do what we as clinicians do, like take self-note, which is called like, patient comes in, what do we do, what type of questions we ask, what type of exams we should order. And we also give a presentation of what we do as a DO, so we get to pop people. If you're not gonna pop people, but you get to witness what we do, like when we look at a body, what are we looking at? When we're touching, what are we touching? And actually putting those principles that we learn into practice. So please come to me, and then if you guys are interested, I can sign you up.
And even if you're not like under the pre-med route, but you're like maybe considering it as like, you know what, let me go ahead and try it out, you never know type of deal, we'll, totally come to the event.
Yes.
So it's not specifically just pre-med.
It's for anyone. It's next Saturday at 8 o'clock. So I know it's 8 o'clock, yeah, 8 o'clock. Yeah, it's pretty early. It's also a park, but yeah. So, is there any questions that you have?
Oh, and then another thing is like, so when I hit on like DO versus like traditional like allopathic MDs. Lots of the stigma kind of stems from basically saying that DO are lesser than MD type of deal too. But at the end of the day, like DO and MD, they're going to be colleagues. We're all going to be on the same level. And in fact, after we're done graduating from medical school, both MDs and DOs going to go through the same residency program technically. So if you're considering like applying for medical school in the near future, I really highly encourage all of you guys to basically open that realm and opportunity, like applying for both sides, and just kind of go from there.
How did you finance your education?
Free food right here. And,
Are there lots of grants or scholarships?
There's definitely opportunities. Our school gives a couple of, I think when I first applied, they had like 5 different scholarships you could apply to. And I think it would give you $5,000 per semester or something like that. So there are scholarships that the school gives you, like school specific. There's also other scholarships you can look to from like a national wide. But for the most part, we'll have to take out loans. It gets a little pricey. Rocky Vista, I think, is one of the more expensive schools, but it kind of is what it is when you're pursuing like a graduate field. There's going to be some moments where you have to finance not out of pocket. So.
And a lot of these like national scholarship that he mentions, when I kind of looked at it, it's either one military, or if you're for sure going to pursue into some kind of like family medicine style, because they're just trying to encourage more med students trying to pursue that route, since we definitely need more family medicines. And yeah, I think the
The other thing too, I think, is like whatever clubs you're involved, some of the clubs are national based, and so they will give you, there will be their own separate scholarship. We are part of a PAMSA club, which is basically an Asian Pacific Medicine Society. And I don't know if they do offer, but they do give students an opportunity for certain funds, like if you want to do something to support your club. As you go on through each of the years, the schools are good, like our school is good at giving the students, like, here's a scholarship that opens for only second years. Here's a scholarship that's open for third years. So there's lots of opportunities, and they're willing to like give those information out to you.
Okay, Grace.
What would you suggest in like getting into clinical or research work? I know that for some people it can be difficult because you need like certifications for CNA, you need upper body certification. How would you navigate that, or getting into the field so you can get those clinical certifications?
So like I know for CU Denver, usually like there should be like lots of pre-meds, like basically programs. So I was part of UPP. I was a part of I forget what it stands for, but HIP as well, Health Interest Program with Denver Health. So like anything that's like CU Denver has, go ahead and just apply, because you never know if you're gonna get it or not. And lots of time, it's through these programs that's really help you get connected with the physicians, and you can do research, or you can shadow, you can learn lots about like the school as well. And I know for a fact, like, so was it during COVID year, like 2019, that was kind of like when my time was like, you know what, I might be interested in DO. And during that time, finding someone to shadow was literally almost impossible. And so what I did was literally just make a phone call, all DO clinics, like, please take me in. So it's one of those things where like you may or may not have to go out of your comfort zone to put yourself out there, and you just never know what you're gonna land on.
If you're interested in research, I would definitely reach out to your professors. Don't be shy. Like, that's the thing that they will always say. Don't be shy to tell them and ask them if there's any research opportunity for you. Work study also give you opportunities to reach out to research at ANSHU, so if you're interested in going there. My way when I went and found, so I ran into the same problem after I finished graduating, and I need a job, like, to get me clinic experience. And so, most the things you will find is that they all need, there's scribe openings for you. You can look to do MAs, but that's, you also have to pay for that education. So I was fortunate because like I knew a doctor and he worked in ophthalmology, and I told him, I was like, I'm looking for a job, and he just took me in, and I found that place didn't really need any background knowledge in medicine. Like you can just go in there and work, and so it's kind of like a hit and miss. That's why I was telling you, like, it's so important that you reach out to people and talk to people, because you never know what you're gonna find.
Well, thank you. And can you do a plug about the event that you're
Oh, I
hosting?
did already.
Yeah. Okay, great.
But yeah, I do have information, so please look, just come back to me and talk to me, because I can sign you up.
Yeah.
Spread the word to your friends and
Yeah.
everyone that you know as well.
Yeah, February 11th, the flyer's in there and their bios are in there, so you can reach out to them. Yeah, and so, yeah. So this is really a good segue for our next portion, because like they said, the overarching message is do as many different experiences, get to know the resources, make connections, and we have the Career Center, Paul, and we have Liz Evans from the research office that are gonna talk to you about the wealth of resources that they have and how you could get those, shadowing opportunities research. So we'll take like a 3-minute break, get their contacts if you're interested, and we'll get our next panelists set up, okay? And grab more food, and if you have time, do those icebreakers. Okay, let's give them a round of applause. Yes. Can you give me my phone? Do you want to do the next one?
Thanks, Ryan. Well, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, yeah.